Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here right now, and I'm really excited for you to be here. It's been a long time coming. I've been sitting here for about an hour trying to figure out how I'm going to show up, how I'm going to set up, and I realized how long I had been getting in my way. And I mean, we all do that until it's time to break out of a room and elevate to a higher version of ourselves. So I'm not mad at it, and I'm here in divine time. As my brother would say, Alicia, there's CP time, and then there's Alicia time. And that time is highly divine. And so I always have a lot to say. And I actually was highly intentional, and I got cue cards just to keep myself on track. So if you see me reading, that's why. Just cleanse the energy, and I want to call in my higher self, call in my ancestors and guides. I want to call in Yeshua. I also want to call in Archangel Michael. I want to call in Ogun, and I want to call in Oshun and Yamaya. I want to call in the higher self and the guides of the highest vibration of love and light of the collective. And I also want to set the intention of a transmission through sharing my experience. It's taken me a long time to do this. And if you know me in person, then that's a little different. But as far as true alignment, this is me stepping into who I've been over many lifetimes. And I'm a teacher. I have been a hairstylist for quite a while now, over 20 years. And through all of that, I learned that there was a deeper meaning behind me being a hairstylist. And in 2019-ish and into 2020, I went through a spiritual awakening like most people, and I haven't been the same since. So 5 years later, 6 years later, here I am, really truly understanding who I've been over many lifetimes and ready to hold space in that vibration and in that frequency. So today we're going to start at the very beginning of it all, kind of, and talk about what sparked my spiritual journey. A lot of people ask me that, especially people who have seen me through the transition, because they're like, you're just not the same anymore. And I'm like, yeah, there's no going back either. And so where did it all start? I think that the best way to say it, a beautiful umbrella, would be that I went on a journey to seek God, and I had to pull out of religion in order for me to seek God. And that wasn't easy because I came from an upbringing where I went to church 3 days a week, and I was an usher, a choir member. I was going to Sunday school, regular worship, and the services after the service. Hanging out with everybody at church. You know, it was my life. And I prayed a lot. And when I was little, I asked God to use me. And yeah, I'm just remembering that. That makes me want to cry. So here I am in use, in service. And so as an adult, I guess we can go there. I want to say that I just always had this understanding because of my upbringing. We came from like what you would consider a broken home. And with that, there's all these, not reasons, but yeah, reasons that we give ourselves why things are going to be okay. And we're just going to continue to move forward. And then that pushes me into high school, where I seen myself as a very guarded person. People would tell you that I was a bully, not that I was actually running around there trying to beat people up, but at the same time, very judgmental and not afraid to say it. But I still had this connection with God. And when I was about 18, well, let's go back 15 years old, I moved away from my church family, and I tried to find another church when we moved from Fresno to Santa Barbara. And during that time, had a little bit more freedom, but still in all, still having that connection with God. I wanted to go to church, and it was just different. It wasn't my church family from Fresno. I could feel the energy. I could feel judgment. Nothing against anybody, but it just didn't seem, it wasn't as warming and as welcoming. So started to pull away a little bit, and got to the point where I was just going on holidays, and then I just felt like I was transactional. I'm doing it because I feel guilty. And I needed to, I guess, find more clarity. I needed to find more clarity. And then I started learning about history. And one of the things that really got me was how many people died in the name of Jesus Christ. And I didn't like that. It didn't make me feel good. I also have a white mother and a black father, and the white side of my family, a lot of them are racist. So, that's something to grow up with. And, looking at a white man as God, it wasn't resonating. Not even that he was white, right? Just that it was a man. And that women are here birthing life. So all these questions are coming up in my mind. But in the Bible, it says you're not supposed to question. But I'm like, so what am I supposed to do? Just question in my mind and not ask any of the questions? No. So it got pretty uncomfortable. And I remembered that in the Bible it says that if I seek out God, that God will show his self, itself, herself, whose self. God's going to show God to me, right? So now this seed is planted in my heart. And around that time, I was hanging out with a friend, and I always used to think about what it would be like to roam in the mountains as we're driving through the freeway in the hills of California. And I'm just looking at the side of the mountains and how beautiful it is, and wanting to be able to walk in it, also wondering what it was like for the natives to be there. And saying that all to say, my friend took me on a hike one day, and it happened to be near one of the places that I was wondering about. And so I fell in love with the mountains, and I think I was probably about 26 at that time. So now about 13 years ago. And so now I'm hiking. I got everybody hiking, all my girlfriends. I hadn't brought my daddy, my brother, any guy that wanted to go on a date. I'm like, oh, you want to go on a hike? So, yeah, it got to the point where the mountains were calling me. And then I started like being attracted to the plants. At that time, I'm learning about meditation and crystals and watching lectures about the human body and how we're electromagnetic and how powerful melanin is and how it's present in everything. And it really just started to tie everything together. And I was like Alice going down the rabbit hole. And so I've been down the rabbit hole ever since. I've been down the rabbit hole ever since. Yeah, it went from the mountains to the plants, foraging. The first time I foraged, besides, I want to say white sage, it was hummingbird sage, and it was so beautiful, and the flowers taste amazing. And of course, I made the tea with the part of the flower that you're not supposed to, so it tasted really nasty. But it was the beginning of a journey that has been so beautiful. So, yeah, beyond the plants, now I'm seeing how everything is working outside of me, but inside too, how everything outside of me is just a reflection of me, and how I'm just remembering, learning that time is not linear, it's cyclical. And so we're constantly going through these cycles, and these cycles are carried on from lifetime to lifetime when they're stored in the spirit and the Akashic records. But even just this lifetime, the DNA that we incarnated into, there's, you know, certain things that we have to go through sometimes to even tap into the gifts. And yeah, it's my personal journey has all been sparked by becoming more aware of myself by going into nature. And at one point, I got my first tarot reading, and the lady told me that I was going to figure out what I wanted to be when I grow up, and that I needed a shamanic healing, and that I was going to fall in love that year. And she asked me if I believed in aliens and all the things. And so these things that she told me actually came into fruition in chronological order. The year coming up from the tarot reading, and she happened to give it to me in 2019. So it sparked even more of my spiritual journey. It was a really big catalyst for me, but in hindsight, also realizing that planet Nibiru had passed. You know, planet Nibiru only comes around every 3 to 6,000 years. And with that, it resets the energy of the divine feminine in the planet. So it's like the divine feminine energy of the planet is reset. Therefore, the masculine, the physical that's been built on that energy, starts to shake and crumble and is redirected. And so during this time, which is during the time the pandemic was going on, I was just following my nose down the rabbit hole. And I was longing and desiring and manifesting, because I was learning how to manifest at that time, and learning about meditation too. So manifesting in meditation, and, you know, really just seeing how I'm creating my reality. So I put it out there that I want to meet somebody that wants to live off grid and not just talk about it, but be about it. And a friend of mine, she introduced me to a man who had land off grid, and he happened to be a shaman. And what's really, I'm not going to go into full detail about it, but let's just say that I got a spiritual awakening with psychedelics, and ooh-wee, it was pretty intense. It was definitely a great catalyst for me. And yeah, within 3 months, I really just started to see my life shifting along with the things that I had already been manifesting and the things that I had been discovering. And within about a year, I ended up manifesting everything that I said that I wanted, all together wrapped up in a beautiful gift. I mean, in a beautiful, like, package and a pretty bow. Let's just say that. And yeah, it's life has been so special. So it to me it just seems like there's more meaning, and I feel like we're kind of like in a video game that's a cross between Jumanji and Mario Brothers. Um this Avatar, honey, and understanding the difference between the avatar and the soul, and also understanding how we create our reality, and how there's certain things that we can't control, like the planetary alignments, the things that were already written. Um, and this is what sparked my spiritual journey. So before this all really started to culminate, um, I'd been doing hair for about 10, no, it's probably about 25 years. No, about 15 years, duh. Yeah, about 15 years. And I was just living my life like everybody else, I guess. I was still in the illusion of it all. I don't remember if it's the blue pill or the red pill, but you know, I was definitely not tuning into what was really going on. And once you wake up, once you have this spiritual awakening, there's no turning back. And for myself, when I got to that peak where I'm just like, ooh, I'm just so highly spiritual, I just don't want to come back down to earth. It's so ghetto here. Um, I started coming back down to earth so fast and got to see myself in my shit for real. For real. And I had to utilize everything that I had learned on this journey in the woods, um, to, I feel like I was shifting the DNA. I honestly do. I feel like I was like breaking cycles back to back to back, um, going into the deepest parts of myself and flashing my flashlight on things that, I hadn't hit yet. And, just when you think that you've healed, you ain't all the way healed. And just when you ask for something and you think that you deserve it, you're going to see how easy or how hard it is to get based on how you see yourself. And there's so many things that affect that, you know. So let me not get off track and look at my cards. So my next card is self-awareness, and how everything outside of you is just you mirroring back to you. And that's one of the 12 universal laws. And so self-awareness is everything. Once you wake up, you got to see yourself. Who are you? What role are you really playing? That ego has died off. So what is the new ego saying about you now? Who are the people in your life? Who has fallen off? The people in your life, what energy are they bringing and reflecting back to you? And understanding that you are the creator of your reality, because we're all made in the image of the creator. So we're out here creating, co-creating. So what is that looking like on your end? If you weren't able to blame nobody, how did you create this reality? And these cycles that you're living in, who in your family are you reflecting? who did the healing and who's not doing the healing. And this is you seeing everything outside of yourself as you. So that self-awareness is so important when bringing yourself back to the present moment, because being present is everything. That's like Maya Angelou saying that in order for you to know where you're going, first you got to know where you came from and how you got to this place right here. And we don't necessarily need our family members to, reflect that back. For those who say, oh, well, I don't talk to my mom, I don't talk to my dad. That's a part of your journey, so that's a part of how you got here, right? How you got to this place. It's your awareness. It is your perspective. It's from the furthest that you can remember. How did you get from there to here? Did you see your timeline? You know what I'm saying? Looking at that timeline is going to really expose different aspects of yourself that are reoccurring in this moment right now. Excuse me. And that shows you what you have to heal. That's exactly what it does. And, not having any judgment towards yourself and releasing the judgment and the anger and the resentment that you have for the people, places, and things that left you or abandoned you or, cause detriment or whatever the case may be, releasing that with love and understanding that that was a part of the journey for you to get right here, right? Everything going back to present, because if we spend too much time in the past, it's going to give us depression. Thinking about the future too much is going to bring us anxiety. So I know, cliche, but the present is a gift. The present is a gift. And so allowing yourself to even have a safe space and peace to be present, learning how to be calm in your mind, to allow yourself to have the peace, to be present in the moment right now. And it's a practice. And in that practice, I want to say that it gives us more gratitude, a lot more gratitude. So looking outside of yourself and learning the lessons of the people that are reflecting you back to you. Are you choosing to keep on going into that relationship that's bringing you down, but you're blaming the other person and not the fact that you keep on choosing to go? And that could be romantic, that could be your family, that could be that job where that boss is just mean, So, excuse me, just this lime water is hitting and it's taking all the mucus out. But just thinking about this concept as you're going through life, and knowing that you're the one in the video game creating your own reality. You're the main character. That's why you can't see yourself unless you're seeing yourself through a reflection, right? So that reflection is going to be people, places, things, and the mirror, your own two eyes. So be very mindful of that, and who you choose to be reflected through, right? You want to keep seeing yourself in the reflection of something that's negative, or do you want something that's more of a positive mirror? And how do you get from the negative to the positive mirror? That's a really great question. Everyone's situation is going to be different, but I can guarantee you that at the end of the day, the answer is going to be love yourself and choose yourself, honey. Choose yourself. I'm really excited that I'm really comfortable doing this right now. Part of me is like, how long is the event? It's 24 minutes. That's a long time, but that's okay. Okay. So the next one is cleansing the energy, cleansing my own energy, your energy, so that you know what's yours and what isn't. And so that's a part of going into like healthy detachment and having some time for yourself so that you can listen to not just the chatter in your mind, but your higher self. You can listen to God, as much as people pray and meditate. It's like, are you listening to the guidance and the answers so you can go on the journey to get what you're praying for and meditating on? But cleansing your energy is so important because our aura is so sticky. So it's like every time you go outside, you're interacting with someone or you go into a space that has heavy energy, trust and believe that's going to be attached to you in some way, shape, or form. So taking your salt baths and a cleansing with sage, or going to the ocean or to the forest. I have so many plants in my house transmuting energy, and I have a lot of crystals too, and I love going out in nature. So highly recommended. But yeah, really just taking the time to cleanse your energy so that you can recognize what continues to stay and what leaves when you cleanse it, and then paying attention to where you're going, how you feel after you leave that place and after you have cleansed your energy, and seeing if certain feelings are lingering when you leave certain people or these places. So that's going to help you have more self-awareness. And that is just like spiritual hygiene. And I'm not necessarily here to teach spiritual hygiene, but it is a really big part of the awakening process because you're filtering through so many different emotions, so many different things. So the best thing that you can do is keep your energy clear so you know what's yours and you know what's not. Separate yourself from the bad. Be around people that are going to lift you up. If bad, bringing your frequency down, because nothing's good or bad until it's compared. So anything that's making you feel bad, bringing you down, bringing your frequency down, making you sad, making you feel stagnant. You go into a conversation with somebody and then you completely feel depleted within 5 minutes. Whose energy is that? You got to cleanse that. You got to have those healthy boundaries or learn how to put those healthy boundaries up. So that's a really big part of the spiritual awakening. And that's been a really big thing for me because I see that I have completely new friend groups and the circle gets smaller and smaller. So it is quality over quantity and allowing ourselves to align to a better version of ourselves along with the soul tribe that is waiting for us, right? So, yeah, because it can get lonely out there sometimes. I've spent so much time by myself, but time alone is time to grow. So as I'm growing to the next tier where I can have another frequency of interaction with other people that are matching my vibration. And it goes to us not being alone ever because we're all, sorry, my camera died. But just talking about the law of divine oneness, even though sometimes it seems like we're alone in those in between phases of ascension, we have to remember that that's just a phase. Everyone is connected, even though we see ourselves as individuals and it is perceived as an individual reality. We also see it as a collective reality. And from an energetic standpoint, you start really paying attention to how like the people that you're around, how often you see them, even if they're people that you don't talk to, why do you have to be around them? Sometimes we can't get away from them especially when it's like family or work or your husband's sister or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? So there's still this co-creation. What we do is affecting everyone else and vice versa. So yeah, just kind of looking at all of that and knowing that as you're doing your part, as you are awakening and stepping into your true path, know that you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for other people in your family, you're doing it for your coworkers, you're doing it for the people that you don't see, because we're all connected. And so, that's why they say you have to be what you want to see in the world. Create it. So I really appreciate you guys being here with me today, and I'm so excited to do the next video. I already have everything written down, so I'm prepared. But yeah, I'm really excited to just put this out there and really start the mission of speaking and teaching. If you have any questions or if you want me to talk about anything, let me know. I'm going to slowly roll out everything that I do and what I offer. And I'm really excited to create an ecosystem and a community. So you guys have a lovely day. Until next time.